All right, hello everybody, and welcome to our call on alternate acupressure points. So when I put this together, I was hoping maybe 20 or 30 people would join. We had 102 people register for this thing, so that's pretty exciting. So thank you for making some time to come and visit with me today on alternate acupressure points. My name is Kurt Anderson. I am a EFT and energy psychology practitioner. My website is subconsciouseft.com. That's where I work my side business, where I focus on using EFT for high performance and everything that goes along with that. So that's my little niche and area. I know a lot of you from my work with EFT Universe, and where I'm the director of education. I see a ton of old mentees out in the crowd today. So thank you for showing up today. And it's a pleasure to see all of you in one place. So hi, and welcome. All right, so let's talk about alternate acupressure points. And by doing that, let's begin with, well, what is an acupoint? All right, so an acupoint is a specific point on the body in which you can apply pressure, and it promotes healing. And that healing can come in terms of emotional, or it can come in physical healing. So when this has been studied extensively in conjunction with acupuncture, in that case, they're usually looking at physical healing, and that comes from a lot of different increased blood flow that comes from activating these points. Now, we're not going to be using any needles in here, and I want to be clear, I am not an acupuncturist. I'm just somebody who really likes to read. So I read a lot of stuff about this. But there's also the emotional component of it, and that's the one that we're going to focus in on more today, because we're doing EFT, and EFT has got a lot to do with the emotional components to the issues that you're currently having. So in EFT, the acupressure points are an active part of the process, and we know the ones that we use are the standard ones. And so they are all, we use the 8 that are on our body, and these are all good acupressure points. Now, there are 400 more of them, right? And that number is a little intimidating to me, because like, it's almost worse to not know that there's zero extra ones than there is to know there's 400 of them. It's like paralysis by extra information. So like, what do you do with 400 plus, you know? And so that's what we're going to talk about a little today. But in the EFT, the acupressure points that we have a lower charge than the ones around them. And so when you stimulate those points, and that can either be by pressing on them, it can be by massaging on them, or it can be by tapping on them, which we're all used to, you create a piezoelectric effect, which means you create a charge on your skin. And so if that point has a lower charge and then you add a charge, it's almost like you're hooking up a circuit. You're allowing information and energy to flow. And that can be measured by the effect EFT has on the fear response in the brain. So by using an MRI machine and watching people tap during EFT, we can see that there is a regulation of the fear center of the brain. All right, so we know that this is an active part of the EFT process. There have been studies where you use EFT with real acupressure points and with what they refer to as sham points, and they are an active part of the process. Right. So if the points that we use in basic recipe and full basic recipe EFT are an active part of the process, well, then can alternate points be an active part of the process? And that was the question I started to ask myself right around the time the pandemic was in full effect. So I'm not allowed to go anywhere or do anything really. And so I decided to use I just got curious about this and created this like alternate acupressure points as a bit of a pandemic research project. So I ended up reading a couple of different books, well, actually 3 or 4. So the ones that I used the most, that I liked the most, was this one, Acupressure Point Handbook by Deborah Bleeker. So this is a really good one. And then since I like that one, I got Acupressure Made Simple, again by Deborah Bleeker. And I'm going to show you the titles of these in a little bit. So feel free to write them down, but we'll reference these later. And so the Acupressure Points Handbook gave you the locations and functions of those 400 plus acupuncture points. And the acupressure one was more about how to use them in acupressure and not acupuncture, because Deborah Bleeker is an acupuncturist. Now, in addition to that, because I am who I am, I referenced everything I could find in the EFT manual, which a lot of you guys are very, very familiar with. And then I found another book called the Concise Book of Acupressure Points, of Acupoints, by John Cross. And I like that one because it was, it gave each acupressure point a rating system. So 5 stars was like most effective or like most useful, and like 1 star was like least. And so by combining and triangulating the research, and Deborah Bleeker, she doesn't rank them, but she writes about them. And so the longer the paragraph that Deborah Bleeker wrote and the more stars that this John Cross guy wrote, well, I thought, well, hey, that's a pretty good point to pay attention to. And so then I started utilizing this mainly in self-experimentation. So trying these points out for various issues that I was working on and just finding them all in the body. And what I ended up doing was I ended up creating a resource that I've been using a lot in my sessions. And so I'm just going to show it to you real quickly and share my screen. All right, so host disabled participant screen sharing. Actually, I'm going to need you to, Sue, I'm going to need you to make me host again, because I can't share my screen. So you just click on my name and then those 3 little dots, and then you should be able to make me the host. All right, I'm the host now, so I will be able to then share my screen. Thank you. So here we go. Here is all of the acupressure points that. So what I was able to do then is I was able to find the points, find the name of them. The names are just kind of fun. What meridian they lie on, where they are located in the body, the actual location, and then the associated physical health properties. There's usually, I put 2 for each of the physical health properties, 2 emotional health things that they tend to help with, and then special properties. These are points that they may like, just interesting facts about the points or combinations of the points, like if you use them in certain combinations, or different things that they have been shown to be correlated with or useful. So I did those for the basic recipe, and then we went through and we got the alternate top 10. So using my favorite 10 that I use from a variety of different places, you triangulating that work. And then I was able to put, here are all the ones that are on your head. Here are all the ones that are on your torso. Here are all the ones that are on your arms and hands and your legs and feet. And then some resources to go along with it. So this was my pandemic project. So that's what the total resources and the total combination of things goes for. And I like Google Sheets because then you can search for them and like search by keywords and have them come up. So that's the way I put them together. Now, the question is, well, who cares? Like, I mean, it's a pretty Google sheet, at least in my opinion, but like, does that matter at all? And does that help? And what would you actually utilize these things for? So I want to highlight 3 different resources, 3 different ways in which I use these both professionally and personally, and give you guys an indication of that. So the first way I like to use these alternate acupressure points is I use them in combination with breathing techniques for grounding. So as a client or as a practitioner, I might do that at the beginning of a session if I have somebody who's coming in that is emotionally overwhelmed or coming straight out of their day that is having difficulty focusing. So I have a little technique that I like to use for grounding, but I also use that personally. So this is my, on my way to work, this is my commute grounding technique, because, you know, before my basic pre-work strategy was get in the car, drink a lot of coffee and like, you know, project forward into the future with a bunch of anxiety or about what I had to do that day and all that sort of stuff. Work yourself into a nice, like, you know, anxiety lather before you show up to work. That was my old strategy. I didn't like that one very much, so I decided to upgrade that strategy. And so this is something I like to use. I do use this every day on my way to work. If you're a little bit safer of a person, you probably park and then do this thing. But you know, I like to live dangerously, so I do this on my commute through the city of Chicago and on major interstates. So very safe to do, but I probably would not recommend that doing that yourself. Ideally park, but you know, it is what it is for me. So I like to combine this with a breathing technique, and I'm not going to go too much into breath work here because I want to keep this focused on acupressure points. But if you're not breathing correctly, you're not going to get the full benefit of this. So let's just going to do a quick demo for everybody. Go ahead and put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And what we want to do is we just want to double check that you are breathing correctly. And if you breathe correctly, you will push out your belly, and your belly will go out first before your chest hand. So always in through the nose. Just breathe in through the nose and then out. And just continue to do that. And you want to breathe in about 4-second counts, 4 to 6 seconds, whatever's comfortable for you. You want your belly hand to go out first, and that'll be for like 3 counts or so. And then the last count, your ribs will expand and your chest will expand a little bit. So it's not just breathing with your belly, it's breathing with your whole body. That's a full yogic breath is what that's referred to. But the belly goes out first. Okay? And we're going to breathe in this technique. We're going to do 2 different styles of breath. We're going to be breathing in a rhythm. So it's going to be in for 4 and out for 4. That rhythmic breathing helps create a rhythm of your biorhythms, so you can control your breath. So you start to control those subconscious processes along with it. So they start to entrain and you start to fall into place. That rhythmic breathing also helps to produce a state of more flow and of presence. And then we're also going to do some kumbhaka, which is breath holding, not super long, just 4 seconds. So no reason, there's no counterindications here, so you don't have to worry about that. But the breath holds make you a little bit more oxygen efficient. And the more oxygen efficient you are, the more your heart and lungs and organs function better. And it also has a nice little anti-aging effect. So you're doing all these things. So we're going to breathe in with pushing out our belly for about a count of 4. We'll hold for about a count of 4. And then out for about a count of 4. And hold for about a count of 4. That's basically all you need to do for the breathwork component of this. But we're not just doing breathwork. We are here to talk about alternate acupressure points. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to go to the first of your free giveaways. So this will come to you in your inbox if you registered for this. This little PowerPoint will show up for you in your inbox about an hour after this event is over. And so I call this technique 3 to free because it takes less than 3 minutes. And you feel a little freer at the end. You feel free of a little more free of your stress. You feel a little bit more calm. You feel a little bit more ready for your day. And this does have an anti-aging effect. That's why I put the no wrinkles thing or reduce wrinkles in the copy for this. Number 1, because I know that gets attention. And number 2, also because I am now in my mid-40s and I have started to think about wrinkles. And so I like to not have as many. And I did do a little experiment with this, and I had less when I was done than when I had at the beginning. So we're going to call this 3 to free. And what it's going to do is it's going to involve the breathing that we just did, but it's also going to involve the alternate acupressure points. So the works cited, all the points that are in here come from the different books that I were just referenced. So Acupressure Made Simple, Acupuncture Points Handbook, the EFT Manual, and the Concise Book of Acupoints by John Cross. So if you want to do all this yourself, there's the book. So feel free to read them. All right. Now, When you activate an acupressure points, there's 3 different ways you can do it. We all are familiar with the tapping, using multiple fingers so you don't miss the point, so you can tap 5 to 7 times. You can find the point and you can rub the point lightly. That also works, whatever feels good. Or you can find the acupressure point and you can push, so you can press and you can hold it. I just want you, in this one, it's supposed to be a calming, grounding activity. So whichever one of those 3 things makes you feel more relaxed and more at ease, I invite you to utilize. The only other particular detail I want you to know is, how do you find these points? So in the acupuncture books and in the acupressure books, they refer to a unit of measurement, and that unit of measurement is called a kun, all right? And so you find these points by measuring areas on your hands. The primary reason being, if you're 5'1" and you have little hands, or you're 7'1" and you have huge hands, well, if I tell you your collarbone point, the KB12 is like down an inch and over an inch, well, that's going to be dramatically different on somebody that's 5'1" or 7'1". But if I tell you that it's down one thumb length, and then over a thumb length, well, now that's a lot more accurate to your body. So when it's 1, you can measure from the edge of your thumb to the end of it, wherever your thumb knuckle is. That's 1. If you want to do 2, it's across your fingers. That's 2. If you want to do 3, you go across the top knuckles, these ones. And if you want to do 4, you go across the width of your knuckles of your hands. So 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, easy way to do that. It's also beneficial then, because each of the acupressure points that we're going to talk about has a location, and we often reference these things. So it's a way in which to explain to clients how to find the acupressure point. So that's beneficial and useful. Now, in this one, there's going to be 5 different alternate points that you may or may not have been exposed to before. So I want to make sure you can find all those before we do the grounding technique. So the first one is going to be GB1. It's on the gallbladder meridian, the bone of the eye. And it's going to be 0.5 kun on the outside of your eye on the orbital bone. So if you go across from your pupil and you get on the orbital bone, that's going to be this one. Helps with clarity of thought, resistance to change, anger. You'll see people doing this a lot. They're subconsciously accessing that point. So right there, you have one on one side, you have one on the other side. The next one we're going to talk about is on the bladder meridian, called the bright eyes. That one is 0.1, so it's right off your inner eye. So it's almost on that little ball thingy on the inside of your eye. You can tell I studied anatomy extensively in college by that description. But it's right there. If you fiddle around with it, you'll find it. I like this point a lot. You see people touching this point all the time whenever they're in stress, emotionally imbalanced. This one is also the meeting points of a bunch of meridians. So there's a lot of things going on at this point. I really like this one. I utilize this a lot. Okay. The next alternate point is on the triple energizer meridian. So this one's going to be right behind your ear, behind the earlobe, in the depression where the jaw connects. So it'll be right below your jaw. This one is great for jaw tightness and jaw pain. Clients who are holding on to anxiety or stress will probably be clenching their jaw subconsciously, and just being able to tell them to access this point and rest their tongue on the floor of their mouth and just release that tension in the face. The amount of stuff that you can get from just that practice and just that point is wonderful. So I love this point. It's a very good one. So we have side of the eye, inside of the eye, behind the earlobe or the jaw. And you got that on the left side and the right side. So all those points go on both sides. 2 more. All right, the next one is on gallbladder meridian as well, called the wind pool. Now this one is on the back of your head. It's in line with your earlobe, and it's at the edge of your hairline, right below the skull, right where your neck meets, right on the side. You got one on both sides, so it'll be like right behind your earlobes. This one's really nice for increasing blood flow to the brain. Helps with headaches and migraines. So if I'm stuck and I'm thinking about something, a quick massage at this point, I mean, feel a lot better. And sometimes I come up with pretty good ideas. So that's a nice one to know. And then the last one is on the back of your head where the base of your the skull meets the spine. All right. This one also helps with anxiety and stress. It's also associated with the third eye chakra, and I'm kind of convinced that it has something to do with its location right next to the pineal gland, but that's just speculation on my part. So these are the points that we're going to utilize in our grounding technique. So now it's going to be time to do our grounding technique. So when I say go, what you're going to do is you're going to pick a side. Start on the right, start on the left, doesn't matter. Whichever one you do first, you're gonna do the other one next, all right? So we're gonna go and we're gonna breathe the way we talked about. So we're gonna breathe in for 4 and we're gonna hold for 4, making sure that your belly comes up first. So you'll breathe in for 4, you'll hold for 4 on this point, and then we'll move to the next point. And we'll go out for 4 and we'll hold for 4. And then you'll go in for 4 and hold for 4 on the next point and out for 4. And the PowerPoint will guide you on this. So you'll be utilizing a lot of the same points that you use in traditional basic recipe EFT, just with those alternate points mixed in. So before we start, just kind of get an idea if you have like a stressor or something going on that's bothering you, like just kind of jot down like what your number is associated with that right now, just to test it out. Yeah. Feel free to take your cell phone and take a look at yourself and see like how you're looking today, and then see if you're looking a little bit better at the end of this. That's one of my favorite ways to see how I'm doing. So we just want to like have some sort of measure to see if this is working for you. And so everybody get loose, get comfortable, sit up. All right, I'm going to start my stopwatch so I keep timing with it. We're going to start with either the right or left hand side. We're going to start with this point. And we're going to begin now. So in for 4, hold, now out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Now in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Okay, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Oops. All right. Now, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. All right. No, I messed it. Got these things messed up. All right. Should be here. Out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now all the way in the back. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. All right, now back here. Out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, now other side. So if you were on the right side before, go to the left. All right, so in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now we go in, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we go in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. This thing's on random. All right. There you go. And out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. All right. Last two. In for 4. Hold for 4. And then out for 4. Hold for 4. And let's get this right. Last one. In for 4 in the back. Hold for 4. And then top of the head. Out for 4. Hold for 4. All right. Now, obviously, my PowerPoint went on random, which is why I should probably have put that in there. So I'll clean that up before I send it out to you guys. But basically, in and hold, out and hold. In and hold, out and hold. In and hold, out, in, out. Switch sides. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, and then back of the head, in, top of the head, out. That's the way it was set up in the PowerPoint. And I gotta clean that up before I send it out to you guys. But that's the sequence and that's the idea. And I find that when I do that, I'm a lot more calm. I'm a lot more focused. It gives my mind something to do, which is focus on the points and the breathing. So it's not busy catastrophizing and spinning into the future. And when I show up and I'm ready to work, then I get a lot more done, a lot faster and a lot higher quality work because I'm a lot more grounded and a lot more centered. And if you have clients who are showing up scattered to your sessions, it's a nice calming way in which to provide them with the ability to access what they're going to need to access to most benefit them moving forward. So that's the way I like to use those points for the first way I like to use them, and that's for grounding. All right. Now, number 2. The second way I like to do this is for anything that's stuck. So any stuck energy. So this can be during a session. If a person's like SUD scores are not going down, it's possible you could try an alternate point that could help. And also, like if you're during life, if I'm ever feeling like stuck and stagnated with something, then sometimes I like to just find one of these points and do some breathing and access one of these points. So what I want to show you now is I want to show you the different ones that my favorite ones that I like to utilize. So let's escape out of this. Now let me get rid of this thing first. So let's share the screen and let's exit this full screen. All right, now these are going to come to you as well in the PDF that comes afterwards. So this is the free giveaway things. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is, well, first off, that point, that's triple energizer point that we did right here. That's my favorite alternate one on the head because of its connection to jaw. And when you reduce somebody's tension in their jaw, you automatically reduce their subconscious levels of stress. And so I really, really enjoy that one. Now, on the torso, I like this point the best. This is the LR14. It's on the liver meridian. It's called the cycle gate. So it's directly below the nipple and between the 6th and 7th rib. So you'll be able to find it right below there, and it'll be in between some ribs. Helps with liver and spleen conditions, stomach issues. And the main reason I really like it is because of the emotional component of anger. Anger is one of those anger is one of those emotions that I tend to find is a lot of people I work with don't have anger issues where they're flying off the handle all the time. They have issues acknowledging that they are angry. Right? And I just finished a book called, what was it called? When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate. And the repression of anger is associated with a lot of different autoimmune conditions and a lot of different diseases. And I find that a lot of people just don't like to admit when they're angry or don't have a difficulty accepting they're angry. And then when they start to let it out, they're not sure what to do with it. And I find at this point, like going through a round of EFT points and then moving from the collarbone points into these 2 points, either one at a time or massaging and really tuning into that emotion and allowing that emotion the opportunity to be expressed, that can be a big breakthrough for people who have issues with boundaries or with people who have issues with people pleasing. They have difficulty having a response that says, that's not okay for me. Like, that's not right for me. And that means anger is not something that you need to run from or hide from. It's a healthy response, provided that it's expressed in a socially responsible way and dealt with and managed. If you just fly off the handle and hurt people, that's obviously not a good expression of anger. But if you're not expressing anger at all, this is a point that is, whether it actually does help the client tune into the anger, but it gives us space and a container to say and accept and acknowledge that anger, it does exist and you may be feeling it. And it's okay to do that because it helps you provide boundaries. And so I really like that point when we're dealing with those types of issues. And I see those types of issues a lot. And so I think that could be beneficial and helpful. All right. Now, so we have the jaw one for the head right here. That's a good one. And then we have the liver one right there. That's a good one on the torso. Oh, no. And you could download this and then you'd be able to send it to a client just by clicking that little button right there. And then if I can get to it. I love technology. Now you can all see my, oops. Of course, it sends me to the wrong Google account. Don't you love having 65 Google accounts? All right. There we go. To see inside my mind and the way in which I organize my Google Drive. That's a little creepy, isn't it? What's wrong with this guy? All right. Next one, on the arms and hands. I really like this point right here. Lung 7. All right. It's on the lung meridian. This one is 1.5 kun below the wrist crease on the thumb side. So you want to be on the thumb side. Remember, kun is 1 from here to here. So you go down 1.5. I like to call it the wristwatch point, because if you're wearing a watch, it's like right below where your watch would be. Now, that point right there helps with respiratory issues and wrist pain. This one helps with grief, sadness. That's the one I use it with a lot, because grief and sadness tends to be one of those emotions that gets stuck in the body. And so, doing a round of tapping on somebody's grief or sadness, referencing their specific events, specific aspects, specific thoughts and emotions, and then just going here and really massaging or lightly rubbing that point and having them either repeating the reminder phrases associated with their grief, associated with their sadness, or even having them talk about their grief and the sadness while they access this point tends to be really, really helpful. Again, it's one of those emotions that either gets stuck or repressed a lot, and giving it a different point, giving it a way in which to do that is really, really beneficial. So I really, really like that point for the ones on the hands. Okay. And so, and then I'm going to show you one more. All right, so we'll go back into this thing. I don't know why it's not letting me do this the right way, but it is what it is. All right, last one. And this is on the legs and the arms, or legs and feet. So I like having the images for the legs and feet because it's really awkward to like try to put your legs up on the camera when you're sitting down and try to demonstrate where these things are. It just ends up feeling goofy, awkward, and like, you know, just kind of weird. Like you don't like to see people's legs and feet when you're just used to looking at this portion. So anyway, this is on the stomach meridian. It's called the 3 mile point. So if you go 3 kun below the eye of the knee, so if you're sitting down, like use your patella tendon, and then if you go on the outside, there's like this little spot where there isn't any bones or tendons. That's the eye of the knee. And if you go down 1, 2, 3, and it's on the outside of the tibia, on the outside of your legs, and if you start massaging in that area, the reason I like this one so much is because it boosts energy. It boosts energy in the body. That's why it's called the 3 mile point, because you're supposed to be able to access this point and run another 3 miles. Now, I don't run 3 miles to begin with. So like if I access this point and ran 3 miles, that would be a first. But like it does help with energy levels. And so I like to I like if client is somebody who is like exhausted, somebody who has like depressive tendencies, somebody who just doesn't have a lot of energy to bring to the session, just tapping on that point. And I like to tap on this one because I find tapping to be more accurate. And if you go like every other, like boop, 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 boop on these points, because you have them on the outside of both legs. So if you tap on both of them at the same time in every other type of manner and every other type style, you can start to feel the energy rise in your body. You start to get a little bit more active, a little bit more energetic, a little bit more ready. So the other way I'll do this is if I'm at my desk in the middle of the afternoon and I'm starting to like drag, you know, instead of like reaching for a soda or having another cup of coffee, which is a very poor idea in the middle of the afternoon, you can tap on these points and just see if you can generate a little bit of energy that way. So I like it for clients who are lacking energy, and I also like it for myself as a little afternoon burst of energy. So outside of the point, 3 kun below the eye of the knee, the depression outside the tibia. Now that I've done that, I can actually feel my legs like bouncing a little bit. So those are my 3 go-to points that I utilize in my own life and that I like to use in the session. So again, right here for the head, T17. On the torso, LR14 for anger. Wristwatch point below the thumb, great for grief and worry. And then 3 kun below the eye of the knee on the outside. That's the ST36. That's the 3 mile point for energy. And yeah, I mean, I'm having trouble. I can't like follow the chat, but I did see something popped up. If something is sore, that's usually an indication of some stuck energy. And that means it's just a really good opportunity to utilize the point. So the points that you find that are continually sort of sore, those are the points where are the best for you to access. And so that's why I'm always using these points, because these ones are always sore for me. And so I love these points. I'm always utilizing these because it's just a physical reminder and a physical way in which to reduce the anxiety, which I hold in my stomach a lot. And these points are directly connected to that, which you'll see on the resources whenever you get the chance. All right. Now, so grounding at the beginning, stuck energy in the middle. And now here's number 3. Number 3 is my favorite. This is the most important one. This is the one I actually think is most beneficial for an EFT practitioner. And so I'd like to talk about it. And it is ending the session. I like to end these sessions when there's been a cognitive shift with a person. And what I want to do is I want to anchor that cognitive shift in with an alternate acupressure point. So we're borrowing from ending sessions with a cognitive shift and tapping that in. That's an EFT technique, right? We're utilizing alternate acupressure points, which is, also EFT, but also acupuncture and, thousands of years of Chinese medicine. And we're also utilizing anchoring, which is a neuro-linguistic programming term. So basically the concept of anchoring is you want to anchor, you want to connect a shift in feeling or thought to a specific point on the body. So that way you can generate that thought, that feeling, that emotion on demand. Right? And that is highly beneficial because I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but you are working with a client and they have a big shift in session and they feel completely different about their issue or their worldview. And then the next time you meet with them 2 weeks later, they tell you that everything's back and the session wasn't effective and it didn't work. And their issue is right back where it came from. Right? And they're right. Sometimes we get lucky, and sometimes that one-time shift in experience is enough to change that person's behavior or thoughts or cognitions or neural patterns forever. That does happen, right? But it doesn't happen every time. And so what I like to explain to the client is that behavior, you have been engaged with this issue and the associated behaviors and thought patterns, sometimes for decades. You've spent a lot of time building up the neural pathways of the automatic, what happens when this happens. When I get this stimulus, I think these thoughts, I have this emotion, I do this behavior, and it's boom, 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 and you don't even think about it. That is automatic, it is built into you. But what you just proved within this session is that is not how it has to be. We called up all those things and you thought different things and you felt different emotions and you were ready to engage in different behaviors. So it is not your destiny, but that doesn't mean it's going to be automatic. So what we want to do is we want to give you the opportunity to create a new neural pathway, to create a new way of being, a new mode of thinking, a new you, essentially. And that's going to come with anchoring in this cognitive shift. Because every time that you pause, every time that you interrupt the old pattern, and you generate the elevated emotions associated with the new pattern, that's a vote. That's a vote for the new you. That's a vote for a new way of thinking, a new way of being. So when you're outside in the real world and you get triggered and you start down the old path, that is not a loss, my friend. That is a win, because that gives you the opportunity to stop, to be aware of it, and make a conscious choice to do something different. And the way in which you do that is by anchoring this point in. Okay. So that's a lot of talk. Let's do an example. All right. Now, the people I tend to work with the most tend to want to work on performance, and they want to work on doing things and being better at things. That could be a job interview. It could be a presentation. It could be passing a course. It could be an athletic performance. The point being is most of the people that I'm working with, a lot of people that I'm working with want to be better in public in front of people. And so when I'm going to anchor something in, I want to give them an anchor that they can use in those situations. So it doesn't really work to give them something that you have to give them something that is subtle, and you have to give them something that not everybody is going to notice right away. So my favorite place to do that is to go into the arms and the hands, because no one's going to be noticing when you're touching arms and hands, right? That's not a thing. It doesn't really, no one's noticing that. So this point right here, the PC8 is a really good one for anchoring, because when I call it up here, you find it by taking your hand, right, and just making a fist, and wherever your middle finger lands, that's the point. So whoop, whoop, middle hand, like a fist, there's your point, right? Emotion, it helps with anxiety and stress. 9 times out of 10, that's what people want to work on. And it also is a focus point to increase energy in the body. So lightly massaging and rubbing this is going to give you a little boost in energy as well. So I really like to suggest this as a point for anchoring. And so let me walk you through. You're going to pretend that you're a client of mine, and what you just had, you wanted to reduce anxiety or stress for an upcoming activity or goal of yours, all right? So I usually do this at the end of a session in which we've had a breakthrough. So after a couple of sessions worth of work, this isn't something I just hand to somebody right away. We want to make sure they've actually had a cleared and stated cognitive shift. And I like to utilize their own words, but since we're just playing around here, I'm just going to make a conglomerate, like a conglomerate of all the types of people that I work with. So we're at the end of a session, and we just want to start tapping in the different shifts that we've had. So just I like to start with just tapping on the top of the head and say, well, right. So it used to be that you thought you needed to be perfect. It had to be perfect to go into the world. But now you see it's a process. There is no perfection. Process is good. And before we were worried about judgment, what do they think of me? What are they noticing? Do they like this? Do they not like it? But we've let go of that. And now we're into acceptance of our personal process and not other people's thoughts, because they're probably not paying attention to you anyway. They're thinking about their own stuff. And before there was tension, and you felt that in your jaw, but now it's relaxed. It's loose. You're still alert, but you don't need to press. And before you could feel it in your stomach, it was nauseous. A nauseous feeling in your stomach, but now it's calm. And there's sort of this ease and effortlessness. It's not connected to one place in your body. It's more all around you. Like you can draw from it, or like you're emanating. And now what I want you to do is I want you to access that point we just showed you. And I want you to gently massage it, and I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to know that you can access that relaxed feeling, that loose feeling, that calm alertness. That's available to you anytime you want. Whenever you access this point, you did it once, you can do it again. Right? And every time that you access this point, it's a vote. It's a vote for the new you that is calm under pressure, that performs, that accepts themselves just as they are. And every time that you start down the road of perfectionism or the path of perfectionism or judgment or doubt, every time you interrupt that and you take a breath and you access this point, that's not a failure. That's a win. And the more wins you stack and the more votes you accumulate for the new you, for what you've chosen to be, for what you've proven you are capable of, well, the more reps you put in and the greater the level of the elevated emotion you can generate and feel, the faster that new you will become automatic. And so you will just automatically flow into a state of relaxed alertness, of preparedness, of acceptance, and of confidence. And so now in between this section and the next, access this point when you practice. Access this point when you prep for your performance. And every time you find yourself going down the wrong road, take a breath and access it again and stack your wins. All right, now open eyes. So what I would then do is download that point and I would send them an email and attach it. All those graphic design things that I showed you are intended to be viewed on a cell phone. So make it your wallpaper, flip through the photos whenever you need it. But it's a nice little reminder of what happened in the session. And it's a nice little marketing thing. Somebody puts it on their phone, they think of you every time they look at it. That's not a half bad thing either, all right? So you can utilize those, and those are designed to be on the phone, all right? So I'm gonna go through and show you a few different things that are available to you, and then for the next 5 minutes or so to show you different things that you can do at the end of this webinar. All this stuff is going to come out to you automatically at about 5 o'clock Central Time today, so don't worry about it. It's all going to be linked in there, but I want to show you. Then I'll stick around and do some Q&As for anybody that has any specific questions. So back to sharing my screen. All right, so get rid of that. All right, so the first thing that's available to you is if we go to this link. So I'm going to post this in the chat real quick. All right. If you go to this link, this is just a link to my website. And right here is an EFT for self-care infographic that you can utilize and share with clients. If you download this, you can register for my website, and then any of these future events that I do, you'll be on my mailing list. So that's a $0 option, just to join a free class once in a while when I do it. And then this is something you can give the clients or utilize. It's just free for you. So feel free to download that. That's nothing. If you scroll down a little bit, the acupressure point research is available here. You can get all the points for the basic recipe plus the top 10 for 25, and then you can get all of them for 50. And that includes a Google Sheet, it includes PDFs, it includes all the cell phone wallpapers, and it includes a video that goes through these top 3 things that we just did on this call. So it has all those for your reference. If you're interested in those alternate things, you just click on the little buttons. Once you click on the buttons, you'll be able to buy it. And then once you're able to buy it, it'll be automatically email you a PDF that'll look something like, I don't know why my screen sharing is paused. Let's share it again. It'll send you a PDF that'll look like this. You just click on the link that it'll show you. It'll give you a password that you enter, and then you'll be able to get a copy of the Google Sheet, download PDFs of the Google Sheet if that's not your thing, so you can print them out if you're more of a paper and pencil type person like I usually am. And then you'll have all the acupressure point cell phone wallpapers as well. So that's all there. And then the last thing I want to be able to share with you is I see a lot of people I recognize from EFT universe. And so in the chat here is a link to a session packages. I do a 3-session package for anybody that is in here that is in the EFT universe or attended this call. It's $75 off my regular 3-session package, and then I put in the full $50 acupressure point research as well for free. So that's like $500 worth of stuff for $375. So $0 if you want to join the mailing list and download something, 25 or 50 if you like the alternate acupressure point research, and then $375 if you want to do some work together in 3-session packages. And I believe that's enough of salesman mode for me. That makes me a little uncomfortable, but I worked right through it. And so now I'll go back into teaching mode, which I'm a lot more comfortable with. So if you are ready to get off the call and you don't have any questions, you go ahead and get off the call. If you have anything that you want to ask or anything you want to, any questions right now, just use the little reaction feature and raise your hand. And we will go ahead and answer as many questions as I can, noting that I am not an acupuncturist, just a person who is an EFT practitioner who likes to read a little bit too much and enjoys organizing stuff in weird spreadsheets. Oh, and the pictures, the sketches on the cards, my wife drew those. So it's a family affair. She's an artist. So support your local artist. And just be thankful I did not do any of the sketching. We'll tell you that much. All right, Robin, go ahead, unmute and ask a question.
Hi there. So I have a question actually about EFT Universe. Are we going to go back to our every other week meetings, and will a link be sent out for it?
Yes, and check out the live call page on.
Okay. Is there an update for that?
Yeah, it's on the course page.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great job.
Oh, thank you. All right, Noel. All right, unmute Noel.
Hi, Kurt. Just curious about the, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's the point which is under the knee, and then the other one which looks like it's just above the ankle. So the knee, when you're looking at that leg, the knee is on the outside, and so the other point is on the inside. Is that correct?
Well, the point we showed was the ST36 point. So it's going to be if you're sitting and your arms go down at your side on the outside of your legs, that point is going to be on the outside of your legs. So that particular point is going to be on the outside, but there are other points that are on the inside and that are lower on the foot and ankle.
Yeah. Yeah. So the one on the on that diagram that you showed, there was just the point which is up near the knee, and you mentioned that was the outside, and the point on near the ankle was on the opposite. So I'm assuming that's the inside. I was just trying to connect which way it was.
That was that point was just for that point. It was just it's 3 cun, so it's 3 below. So you go from here. So if you put your hand on the indentation of your knee and went down 3 and then fiddled around, you'd be able to find it. And then every other point that is referenced for the legs and knee will have its own picture with its own little pretty dot.
Okay, great. Okay, that's great. Thank you. That's lovely.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else got a quick question? All right. I guess with no other questions, I must have done a beautiful job. So, all right. Thank you so much for showing up today. I was really, I thought maybe 25, 30 people would be a pretty good showing, but getting 102 people to register and like half of you to show up, I thought it was pretty remarkable and pretty wonderful. So, oh, Karen, did you have a question before we go?
Not a question, but there was some discussion in the chat when you were on the LR14 point.
Yeah.
Some people thought that it was at the lower edge of the rib cage. I just put a link in there to a picture that I just searched for to show on the ribs where it is. It's higher than the bottom of the.
Yeah, there are, like I said, there's 400 of them. So that there could be other ones that are lower than that. It's just that particular point was cross-referenced in a few different resources, but there are other points that help as well. Thank you, Karen. Carrie, did you have something real quick?
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just want to say that you did an excellent job, because it gave me what I needed to know to see the value in what you had, and it's easily valuable. And so I really appreciate just the way you did it. You gave us something good, you set it up, you thoroughly explained it, we saw the benefit, win-win. So well done.
Well, thank you. I will be cleaning up whatever happened with PowerPoint before I send something out to you. And I'll also be attaching a link of the replay so you can go back and reference it if you would like to. So thank you for everybody for showing up. Thanks for the beautiful comments in the chat. And I really, really appreciate you guys being here. And I'm going to do this stuff again since it was so successful. I just have to come up with, well, maybe there'll be another pandemic and I'll come up with another topic. Let's not risk for that. Probably not worth a 1 hour webinar for another pandemic, but hey, gotta look on the bright side of things. So with that being said, thank you very much, people. Thank you for coming. And I hope this was valuable for you. And yeah, I will be seeing you in EFT Universe, and I'll be doing some more of these in 2023. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you guys soon. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.